In this episode of Get Real with Rajiv, I'm going to be answering 4 questions for you. Firstly, I'm going to tell you how do you find your passion and purpose. This is one of the most asked questions on the internet. I'm going to break it down for you so that you don't wait for this mystical, magical moment where the passion and purpose arrives in front of you. Secondly, I'm going to answer the question on is it okay to get your technical staff or your admin staff to do sales and marketing for you. This, according to me, is a mistake most entrepreneurs are making, so I'm going to answer that question as well. The third question I'm going to answer for you is how do you handle the difference of opinion within team members, especially when your team members are your relatives. So how do you deal with relatives that you have hired? I'm going to answer that question. And finally, the fourth question that I'm going to answer is how do you say no to people without offending them? So make sure you tune into episode number 34 of Get Real with Rajiv. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 34 of Get Real with Rajiv. We're going to be answering 4 questions like we do in every single episode, and we love the fact that you've started using this WhatsApp number to ask us questions. So those of you watching, continue asking us questions on this WhatsApp number. All you need to do is go on WhatsApp and send in your question on this number. It gets as easy as that to get your questions answered. So let's get started with episode number 34. Shweta is going to be the voice of your questions today. So Shweta, what's the first question?
The first question is by Karthik on WhatsApp, and his question is, how do I find my purpose, passion, and the things which I love for doing for the rest of my life? I want a proper practical answer so I could go ahead and implement it.
I love the fact, Karthik, that you emphasize that you want a proper practical answer and not just some motivational mumbo jumbo. I'm so glad. So let me tell you this, Karthik. A lot of people have this feeling that they need to find their purpose, and the moment they find their purpose, lightning will strike, heaven's doors will open, suddenly God will come down and say you are the chosen one, and they wait for that moment. In all honesty, there's no such moment, so stop searching for it. Now coming to the first part of the question, how do I find my passion? What does passion mean? Passion means you love what you do. Now there are 2 ways of finding your passion. One is intrinsically you know what you enjoy, what is the type of work you like doing. Once you have that self-awareness, then it's easier to go and implement that and pursue things that you like doing. So that self-awareness is the first point. The other way of finding your passion is actually exploring different things. Now let me tell you this, if you're young, let's just say you're in your 20s, then it's too early for you to be worried about anything in your life. At that stage, what you need to do is go out there and become, become someone who's a seeker, someone who's trying different things and not boxing himself or herself with one particular area. So now is your time to play, now is your time to learn different things, develop totally different skills. Like at one level learn digital marketing, on the other level go learn machine learning or AI. So explore different spectrums and see where you are able to showcase your capabilities the best, because at the end of the day, here's another thing that makes us passionate about certain things. When we're good at something, we also naturally become passionate about it. So start seeing what are the different things you're good at. At this stage, you should be exploring, like probably work in internships for 6 months, and every 6 months look at a new internship in a new industry, in a new role. So that would be my recommendation to those of you who are young. It's time to explore and design your own customized post-graduation program. You don't need to sit in a university and pay heavy fees. Go out there and work in different jobs, different roles, explore different things, and then see what are you good at. When you start doing things that you're good at, you naturally become passionate about it. And when you start taking it to the next level and use your passion to add value to people, to make a difference to people, that becomes your purpose. So all I would say is at this point of time, you should be looking at exploration, and then over a period of time, once you've found what you enjoy doing, you make sure that you do that at a scale so you're adding value to many people. That's when you will have a larger purpose to play. I hope that makes sense, Karthik. So that is work for you to do right away. So Shweta, let's go to the second question.
The second question is by Chaitra on WhatsApp, and her question is it correct to ask the admin or technical staff to do a marketing or sales job?
Chaitra, you've asked me a question which I think is one of the big mistakes most small and medium entrepreneurs make. If you are expecting your admin staff, right? Yeah. Your admin staff to do marketing and sales, that's like expecting a fish to fly. Now, if you remove the fish out of water and say, fly, you have fins, come on, try, you have fins, I will motivate you. What will happen to the fish? Just because you're motivating the fish does not mean the fish will start flying. If you expect the fish to fly, the fish will die. In the same way, you don't expect your admin person to start doing marketing and sales unless and until they have the skills and capabilities for marketing and sales, unless and until they have the personality for marketing and sales. Now, am I saying that skills and capabilities cannot be acquired? They can be acquired. Having said that, what's deeper is for an individual is their own self-image. How do they look at themselves? And a person who's in an admin job, in most cases, I know I'm generalizing right now, but in most cases, such a person does not look at himself or herself as a communicator, does not look at himself or herself as a people's person. An admin person looks at himself or herself as a behind the scenes support person. So if you put such a person in the deep end and say, now go out there and communicate, now go out there and sell, that does not align with their self-image. That really puts them way outside their comfort zone, and no matter how much motivation or how much skill or knowledge training you provide to such a person, it is going to fail. In fact, such a person would, even if you enforce this job of sales and marketing on them, they would pretend to do it, and all they would do is spend their time on finding another job. So don't expect a fish to fly, don't expect Sachin Tendulkar to sing, don't expect Lata Mangeshkar to do left arm fast bowling. Let people do what their self-image aligns with. Now, the big mistake you can make is say, but I can train them on sales and marketing. You can train them, but the question is, does their self-image align with the job of sales and marketing? Are they willing? Do they have the motive and the intent to change? Now, that does not mean you show them this video and say, see, if you have the intent, you can do anything in life. Well, if you have the intent, anybody can do anything in life, but please understand that person's in an admin job, that does not come naturally to their personality. Don't make them go so much outside their comfort zone. Stretching people is okay, this will tear them apart, so they will leave you. So don't make this mistake of getting a fish to fly. I hope I've communicated that clearly enough. Let's go to the third question.
So the third question is by Rita Malhotra on the Facebook Live, and her question is, if we have a relative in our company, how do we handle difference of opinion?
Well, Rita, I think when you're hiring a relative, someone or any family member, the first thing you need to do is you need to set the right ground rules, which means you need to set the ground rule and you need to set this agreement up even before you hire them, saying, if you are walking into this organization, you're not walking into this organization as my relative, you're walking into this organization as a team member, which means I will communicate to you as a team member, I will hold you responsible to what you're supposed to do as a team member, and you're not going to get any special preferences from anybody in the organization just because you're my relative. And if you ever leverage that, saying that I am this person's relative, therefore I need to be treated differently, then that's going to be your last day at work. Unless and until you don't set such a strong ground rule, it's not worth it hiring a relative. The second thing is, why are you hiring the relative? Are you hiring the relative just because you think you trust them? Or are you hiring the relative because you see genuine capabilities for the job role you are hiring them for? Because I'll tell you, I know a lot of people, they hire their relatives just because they trust them. In fact, the trust later ends up becoming rust because you think you trust them, but if they don't have the capabilities for the job role, then they become an emotional burden for you. They in fact become one of those triggers which makes people feel that you are a boss who practices favoritism, you're a boss who only prefers their relatives. So I would say keep the relatives out unless and until you see genuine capability fitment. I have a cousin who works in my events business, not because he's my cousin brother, because there is a genuine capability fitment. He has expertise of doing events, and one of the things that we are very clear about, and this is from both sides, we are very clear about is that when he is here, he is not here as my cousin brother, he's here as a team member for the business, and there's no preferential treatment he gets in the process. So it's also about the intent of the other person. So you got to check all these parameters, only then have the relative on board. Otherwise, you're only going to build an emotional liability for yourself just because you think in the name of trust you're hiring a relative. So I hope I've clarified that for you, Rita. I hope you get your answer there. Let's go to the fourth question.
The fourth question is by Mahar Gada on WhatsApp, and his question is, how do you tell no to another person in a smooth way, and how can you be expressive?
Well, I think this fear of saying a no to others comes because we want to be liked by everyone, because we want everybody to like us, love us, appreciate us, respect us. And in our head, the notion is if I say a no, then the person will start hating me. Firstly, we need to understand human beings are not that stupid. I mean, if you have a legitimate reason for saying a no and you clarify that with compassion, then people understand and get it. Look, I always say this to people around me. What do you prefer? An artificial yes or an honest no? And that's a very important ground rule to set up in your relationships, where you need to ask people, what do they want? Do they want an artificial yes where you say yes for the heck of it, but you don't really align to doing what you've told them yes for, and later you end up not doing it and giving them reasons and excuses? Or do they prefer hearing an honest no? And any sensible person would choose an honest no. But what I think stops people from saying a no is their own fears. Their fear of what will people think of me, their fear of what will people feel about me. And I think to be able to become an achiever, the first thing a person needs to learn is to say a no. And to say a no, you need to take care of two things. Firstly, your inner courage. Secondly, your compassion when you're saying the no. So courage is the inner game, where you got to be clear, why am I saying a no? I'm saying a no because really I cannot do it. There's no point saying a fake yes. So you need to develop that courage to express your no, and you need to express it in a compassionate manner, which means I can say a no to you rudely, saying, no, I will not do anything for you. Or I could say a no to you with compassion, saying, hey, I'd love for me to do this for you, but here is the reason why I cannot do it, and I want to be open with you about it. So when you're compassionate and you tell people why you can't with a legitimate reason, and then you go one extent further and check with them, how will you saying a no impact the way they see you or they relate to you? When you go to that extent and check, saying, hey, I hope it's okay for me to say this no, and I hope nothing changes just because I'm saying a no. When you go that extra mile to express and check and clarify, you've done your bit. After you've said the no, and after that person's committed to you, saying that yeah, nothing changes, don't worry, I completely understand, and even after them communicating this to you, if they start developing any kind of negativity towards you, then please know it's their shit, not your shit. In fact, then that's a good thing, because that person's character is being revealed because you've done your bit of communicating compassionately. So I would say, deal with the inner fear, my friend. One of the most important words in the vocabulary of achievers is no. Achievers don't say yes to everything. They say no to things that are not in line with their strengths, capabilities and priorities, and they say yes only to things that are in line with their strengths, capabilities and priorities. So if you truly want to see yourself as an achiever, get comfortable with a no, and firstly change your conditioning around no equals wrong, no equals people will not like me. Just let go of all that garb that you built over the years. So I hope that helps you, my friend. So with that, we've come to the end of episode number 34, where we've answered these 4 questions for you guys. It's now time for us to pick a winner for the week who gets a copy of my book, Lead or Bleed. So I'm going to ask Shweta to indicate for me using her fingers without expressing, because I don't want any of you to develop a grudge against Shweta. Shweta, who do you think deserves to win? Okay, Shweta says a number. Let me reflect on this and let me tell you. I would say we will give this one to question number 3, which was about Rita Malhotra on how do you handle a relative in your team. I think that's a very sensitive question, especially in our cultural context as Indians. A lot of people hire their relatives and then they feel stuck about it. So Rita, thank you so much for asking that question. My team is going to reach out to you and give you a copy of my book, Lead or Bleed. Enjoy the read, and for those of you watching, ask more questions on the WhatsApp number that you see or in the comment section below, and we will look forward to answering those questions in the subsequent episodes of Get Real with Rajiv. With that, this is Rajiv Taleja signing off. I look forward to seeing you in my next episode.